Hello dear students, how are you? I hope you all are safe at home. Dear students, today I will teach you new lesson, new empires. Lesson 11 of your history book. Okay, what is there in the lesson? This lesson is about the new empires of India. First, the Gupta Empire. After the Mauryan Empire, no big empire ruled India till the 3rd century. Few foreign kingdoms invaded North India and smaller kingdom ruled the south of India. We have read about them in the previous chapters. The next big empire which ruled India was Gupta Empire. We will read about the kings and administrations of this empire in this chapter. So, number 1 is Gupta Empire, the Gupta Empire. The Gupta dynasty ruled India for 200 years between 320 to 540. Okay, 40 CE. This period is known as Gupta Age, also called the Golden Age of India, because of the achievements in the field of literature, music, art, architecture, etc. We get to know about this period from the travelogues of Chinese pilgrims like Fa Yan, and coins, inscriptions, paintings and monuments. Right, these are the sources. Okay, Sri Gupta was the founder of this dynasty. Under his rule, Gupta kingdom was a small kingdom. Gupta dynasty spread to other areas under the rule of imperial Gupta kings. Now about Chandragupta I. Right. Chandragupta was the 3rd king of Gupta dynasty, who is given the credit of expanding the empire and making it powerful. He extended his rule by conquering other territories and by entering into marriage alliances. His marriage to Lichavi princess Kumara Devi enabled him to gain control over Magadha, which later he extended to Prayag. Prayag means today Allahabad, and again new name is Prayag in Uttar Pradesh. Saketa means Ayodhya in UP and other neighboring areas. Now about Samudragupta. The successor of Chandragupta I was his son Samudragupta, who conquered the smaller kingdoms and extended his empire. The major source of information about his rules come from Prayag Prashasti. Okay, it is a pillar inscription at Allahabad or Prayag composed by his court poet Harisena. This inscription talks about his victories and the countries defeated by him. He first defeated the 9 kings of Aryavarta in the Ganga valley, annexed their kingdoms and made them part of his empire. Then he marched towards the 12 rulers of Dakshinpatha. Dakshinpatha means South India. Even though he defeated the rulers, he did not annex to the empire and accept the supremacy of Samudragupta. The kingdom of Assam, West Bengal, and Nepal also accepted him as the supreme king. Okay. He extended his supremacy to the forest tribes, which were ruled by tribal chiefs. Far towards south, the Pallava kingdom also accepted his lordship. The extent of Gupta empire during his reign was from north except Kashmir, Punjab and Indus to the east till Brahmaputra. In the south, its territories touched the river Narmada. Besides his successful political conquests, he was the great patron of poetry and music. He was the worshipper of Vishnu and performed Ashwamedha Yajna to celebrate his victory. Okay. Now about Chandragupta II. Chandragupta II was the son of Samudragupta, also known by the name of Vikramaditya. Right? Who succeeded his father to make Gupta empire more prosperous. He also followed his grandfather's policy and entered into matrimonial alliances with the Nagas by marrying Princess Kuberanaga. Okay. He married his daughter to the Vakataka king, right, of South India, right, Rudrasen. And after his death, he indirectly controlled the Vakataka territory. He defeated the Saka satraps in Gujarat, Malwa, Saurashtra. Okay, the iron pillars at Mehroli, Delhi of King Chandra mentions his war against the Bengal chiefs. Okay, he was also the patron of art and literature. His court consists of 9 gems called Navratnas. At his time, India excelled in the scientific advancements. Fayan, the Chinese pilgrim, about whom we have read in the last chapter, okay, visited India during his reign. He gives a vivid description about the administration of this kingdom in his books. Okay. And the Guptas also supported Buddhism and Jain culture. Much of these were recorded by the Chinese scholar and traveler. Who is that? Fa Yan. Okay, already I told you. Who visited the Gupta empire during the ruler of Chandragupta II. And this kind of question can come in your exam, in your class exam also, and other GK exam if you will give. When Fayan come to India, and you will mark the answer at the time of Chandragupta II. Now about literary works. Navratna or the 9 gems adorn the court of Chandragupta II, among whom many were writers and scholars. And the Sanskrit language and the literature developed during the Gupta period. Okay. Various plays, poems, epics and prose came to be written in Sanskrit language. Kalidas play Abhigyanam Shakuntalam, written in Sanskrit, is a masterpiece. Other dramas and poems written by other gems of Chandragupta II are also in Sanskrit. Mathematics, astrology, astronomy and medicine also developed during this period. Aryabhatta was the great mathematician of the 4th century. Varahamir was the great astrologer of this time. Okay, now about later Gupta. Chandragupta II was succeeded by his son Kumar Gupta, and he in turn by his son Skandagupta. Okay. And in the later Guptas were not as powerful as the earlier ones. Chandragupta II, again I am telling, he was succeeded by Kumar Gupta and he by his son Skandagupta. Skandagupta faced attack from Huna tribe from Central Asia and Pushyamitras, but the empire was integrated and it started to decline soon after his death. The empire became weak by the attacks from Hunas and disloyalties by the attacks by the kingdoms under Gupta influence. The great Indian empire lasted till 6th century. Okay, now about Gupta administration. The Gupta established an efficient administrative system. As mentioned in the beginning of the chapter, Gupta period was also known as the Golden Age of India. Okay. Due to the advancement in the field of art, literature, religion and architecture. Right. So, here are some features of his administration. Gupta Empire extended over the large territory, which made it necessary to divide the departments of administration for convenience. The king was assisted by several people to run his administration successfully. At the central level, king was assisted by high official mentions in inscriptions. For example, Sandhi Vigrahika, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and the Council of Ministers were often hereditary, and bureaucracy was like Mauryas. The empire was divided into provinces called as bhuktis and governed by provincial governors or uprikas. The provinces were further divided into districts called Vishyas, headed by Vishyapati. The cities of the district were looked over by Nagara. Right? Nagar Shreshtis and villages by Gramikas. According to Fayan, the government worked in a decentralized manner without interference, and punishments of crime were also tolerant. Judicial system of this period was developed and several books on law were compiled with elaborate description about different laws and crimes. Now, Harshvardhana and his feats. The most influence of the Pushya Bhuti family was Prabhakar Vardhana, whose desire for conquest was eventually fulfilled by his son Harshvardhana. He also known as Harsha. Okay. Ascended the throne at the age of 16. In the accounts of Huensang, he was Hindu who converted to Buddhism. Regarding his character, he says he was benevolent in nature, patron of arts, okay, and active in administration. He was tolerant towards all religions, and his contribution can be seen in the building of stupas in the name of Buddha, giving donations for Buddhist monasteries, etc. Okay. And in addition, we can learn more about Harsha from a Chinese traveler Wensang, who visited India through his region. Wensang wrote in detail about Harsha's administration and the life of people they live in the territory. Harsha's administration, he ruled the Indian states of Punjab, Rajasthan, Bengal, Odisha, and the Gangetic Plains. He united the two kingdoms of Thanesar. Thanesar means Kurukshetra, Haryana, today's, and Kannauj in UP, and shifted his capital from Thanesar to Kannauj. Moving towards the south, he wanted to conquer Deccan, but Chalukya king Pulkeshin II defeated and stopped him near river Narmada. In the east, his influence was over Assam, but he did not rule it directly. He had diplomatic relations with China. His ministers assisted him in the political matters, but it is believed he himself supervised his administration. After his death, the empire disintegrated into smaller kingdoms. Now, what is there? Major dynasties of the south. What are two major dynasties of south are? The Chalukyas and the Pallavas. Okay. Chalukyas ruled the west South India, the present state of Karnataka and southern Maharashtra in the 6th century. Their capital was Vatapi. Vatapi means present Badami. Pulkeshin I was the founder of this dynasty. Pulkeshin II was the most powerful king of this of this kingdom, who brought several areas under his control and restrained Harshvardhana from entering Dakkan. He also defeated Mahendravarman I, who was the Pallava king in the south. However, in the battle of Vatapi, he suffered defeat in the hands of Pallava king Narasimhavarman. Later, his son Vikramaditya defeated the Pallavas to regain the control on its territories. Pulkesin II's court poet Ravi Kriti wrote about this kingdom in the whole inscriptions. Okay. The Chalukya had good relations with Iran and Arab. They also encouraged art, learning and literature. Their coins had inscriptions of lions, lotus and temples. Though the kingdom followed Hinduism, the evidence of Jain temples confirmed about the encouragement of Jainism also. They had efficient administration and boosting trade and commerce. Now about the Pallavas. The Pallavas ruled the parts of Tamil Nadu and its capital was Kanchipuram. After the 6th century, they established themselves as the dominant power for the next 2 centuries, after which the dynasty faded out in the 9th century. Okay. Till the zenith of the Gupta rule, they were forced to accept the supremacy of Guptas. But in the end of 6th century, they restored themselves. Mahendravarman lost to the Chalukya's king, but his son Narasimhavarman defeated the Chalukyas, the Cheras and the Pandyas. He also conquered Ceylon. Ceylon means today's Sri Lanka. At this time, the kingdom prospered. Agriculture was abundant, precious gems were known, and the capital of kingdom emerged at the great center for learning. Sanskrit language was patronized, and orthodox Hinduism was followed. Buddhism and Jainism were also practiced, but it was the Vedic Hinduism which superseded them. Overall, the Chalukya and the Pallava kingdom were defeated by the end of 8th century by the Rashtrakutas and the Chola respectively. Right. So, this chapter is over. Okay, daily class will be there and exercises also are there. You will do also that also. Okay, so stay home, stay safe. Bye.